Alaska is known for its vast, wild beauty, a place where the mountains meet the sea and the silence can stretch for miles. But in that silence, there are voices, stories, and secrets. Welcome to, or welcome back to, the Agatha Mae Detective Agency. I'm Agatha Mae, and this is the second in the 12 Unsolved series, where we're looking at 12 unsolved cases from each state. In this video, we're exploring a list of cold cases and unsolved disappearances linked to the last frontier. Some made headlines, others barely made a ripple, but every one of them left someone behind waiting for answers. It was a quiet Saturday, August 25th, 2018, when Kevin Napier showed up at an apartment complex in the 3500 block of West 88th in Anchorage. He was visiting someone in one of the downstairs units. But during that visit, Kevin told them he was heading upstairs to see a woman in the apartment right above. Just moments after he went up, 2 gunshots rang out. Downstairs, the person Kevin had been visiting heard the shots and then saw a man, described as either white or native, wearing a dark hoodie coming down the stairs. The man didn't stop, he didn't look around, he walked straight out of the building, got into Kevin Napier's vehicle, which was parked out front, and drove away. The vehicle was later found in the Eagle River area, and it was on fire. Kevin Napier was found dead at the scene, and the man in the hoodie, the presumed shooter, has never been identified. It was just after midnight on May 29, 1993, when witnesses at the Eagle's Nest Hotel on Spinnard Road in Anchorage heard an argument coming from one of the rooms, then a single gunshot. When police arrived, they entered the hotel room and found 41-year-old Deborah Ruth Lawson, also known as Deborah Ruth Souls, dead from a gunshot wound to the neck. Multiple people were seen fleeing the room, and police interviewed several witnesses and suspects. But despite their efforts, no one was ever charged. The case went cold. Now, over 30 years later, Anchorage police are once again asking for your help. Someone out there knows who pulled the trigger. Maybe you were there, or maybe you heard something. There's still time to speak up. A $1,000 reward is being offered through Crime Stoppers, and Deborah's family has added $10,000 more for information leading to a conviction. On a bitter winter day, January 26, 2008, a fire broke out around 6:20 p.m. at an apartment on East Cedar Road in Anchorage. When firefighters finally extinguished the flames, they made a grim discovery inside. 29-year-old Brandon Wilson, a former tenant, was found dead, his body burned beyond recognition. Just days earlier, Brandon and his wife had moved out after a smaller fire forced them to leave. Now detectives believe the second blaze wasn't an accident. It was intentionally set, and someone wanted Brandon dead. To this day, no one has been arrested, but Anchorage police still believe someone knows what happened that night. The next story isn't about a missing person, at least not in the usual sense. We have the body, we know how he died, and we even have the killer, but we don't know who he is. Locals call him One-Eyed Jack. In September of 1978, he was hitchhiking near Boise, Idaho, when he accepted a ride north from someone headed for Alaska. He told the driver he was going to Pendleton, Oregon, but he never made it. According to the driver, Jesse Burt Bishop, who later confessed, Jack became annoying during the trip, so he killed him, dumped his body along an Alaskan highway, and kept driving. A year later, the killer led police to the remains and then went to prison for the murder. And that's when things got strange, or maybe stranger. Bishop claimed Jack had an Oregon driver's license. Maybe his name was John, maybe it was Jack. The name stuck, and so did the mystery. Jack was around 5'11" with long curly hair. He'd lost his left eye in a logging accident, but there was no ID, no missing person report, no one looking for him. Bishop died in prison in 2003, taking any answers with him. To this day, One-Eyed Jack remains unidentified. If you know anything about the deaths of Kevin Napier, Deborah Ruth Lawson, Brandon Wilson, or the identity of One-Eyed Jack, reach out to Anchorage Crime Stoppers at 907-561-STOP or visit anchoragecrimestoppers.com. Merrian Lynn Carver wasn't from Alaska, and she didn't disappear in Alaska, but her story became forever tied to it. On August 27, 2004, Merrian quietly boarded the cruise ship Mercury in Seattle. She didn't tell her family or leave a note. She just vanished into the voyage. The next day, her cabin steward saw her for the last time. The ship docked in Juneau, Skagway, and Ketchikan, but Merrian never stepped off. Weeks later, her family reported her missing, and when her father, Kendall Carver, started digging, the story took a dark turn. Celebrity Cruises, who owns the Mercury, hadn't told anyone she was missing. Her belongings were donated, and her purse was tossed into storage. And allegedly, her steward was told by his boss to keep quiet and that the boss would take care of it. So was this just corporate negligence or something far more sinister? Celebrity Cruises claimed surveillance tapes were erased every 12 days, but internal documents told a different story. The tapes were actually stored for 30. Whatever was on those tapes is now lost. If you have any information about Merrian Lynn Carver's disappearance, please contact her father at internationalcruisevictims.org. In the small town of Haines, Alaska, 13-year-old Eileen Wafer was home babysitting her brothers on June 10, 1982. Her mother returned later that night to find the boys asleep, but Eileen was gone. 4 days later, her brother found her body on a nearby beach, strangled and partially clothed. It's believed she may have left willingly with someone she knew. Despite multiple leads and advances in DNA testing, no one has ever been charged with Eileen's murder. If you have any information about her case, please contact the Haines Police Department at 907-766-2121. On October 11, 2014, Jael Tiara Hamblen had just returned from dinner with her roommate at Anchorage. Her child was being looked after and everything seemed normal. But sometime after her roommate went to bed, Jael decided to go back out. By 1:40 a.m., she was texting a friend. 2 hours later, another message, and then nothing. Her car was still in the driveway, her bed hadn't been slept in, and her phone was dead. 5 months later, her purse was found buried in the snow just outside Anchorage. That black purse and a final text message are the only clues left behind. Today, her case is being treated as a homicide. If you have any information about Jael's disappearance, please contact Anchorage Crime Stoppers at 907-561-STOP or visit anchoragecrimestoppers.com. And yet another case out of Anchorage is that of Magdalena Borkoski Perez, who vanished on July 10, 1988. She left her home around 10 p.m. to get McDonald's for her 4-year-old child and never returned. Her car was later found abandoned at the Anchorage airport. Magdalena was 33, Latina, with black wavy hair and a reddish birthmark on her right side. She wore a California Raisins t-shirt and carried a black purse. In the decades since, only one DNA exclusion has been processed. She remains missing to this day. If you have any information on the disappearance or whereabouts of Magdalena Perez, please call the Anchorage Police Department at 907-786-8900. In Juneau, August 23, 1983, Cynthia Elrod was just 20 years old when her body was found in the bathroom of her home. She was bound and had been strangled. She was last seen at 5 p.m. the day before when she was leaving work at the Labor Department. Multiple persons of interest were developed as possible suspects, but despite state troopers following up on many leads and working with the FBI to analyze the evidence, the case remains unsolved. It's now been over 40 years. In 1988, 73-year-old John L. Jack Sr. was beaten and stabbed to death inside his Mountain View Senior Center apartment in Juneau. Investigators believe he knew his killers, likely two people, and that they were after the small amount of cash he kept inside. Jack was partially paralyzed after suffering a stroke, so he was particularly vulnerable, but the community stayed quiet. Loyalty, or possibly fear, kept their mouths shut. Even now, someone out there may still be protecting a secret. If you have information about the murder of Cynthia Elrod or John Jack, please contact the Juneau Police Department at 907-586-0600. Girdwood, Alaska is a small, artsy town nestled between mountains and winding trails. The weekend of July 1st, 1995, the Girdwood Forest Fair was in full swing. Erin Marie Gilbert, 24, had just met a man named David Combs days earlier at Chilkoot Charlie's, a popular bar in Anchorage. He invited her to the fair and she said yes. The day of the fair, they left Anchorage around 4 p.m. Erin was last seen a couple of hours later in the beer garden at the fair. Then, just like that, she was gone. According to Combs, they headed back to his car only to find the battery dead. He says he left Erin in the car there while he walked to a friend's house to get help. That walk supposedly took 2 hours, but he was unsuccessful in finding his friend's house. Combs said when he got back to the car, Erin was gone. The car then miraculously started, and Combs said he drove back to the fairgrounds and searched for Erin until 1 a.m. But Erin Gilbert had vanished. What stands out in this case, like so many others, is the uncertainty, the gaps in the story, and the what-ifs. Did Erin walk off into the woods alone? Did something happen while Combs was gone, or was he ever really gone? Erin was last seen wearing a black leather jacket, a black and white shirt, mountain boots, and black jeans. Her body has never been found. If you know anything about the disappearance of Erin Marie Gilbert, you can submit an anonymous tip at dps.alaska.gov. Our final case is also the most recent. In Selawik, Alaska, on February 1st, 2025, 37-year-old Nettie Ballot was found dead inside a residence. Authorities quickly labeled her death as suspicious. A person of interest was taken into custody, but it was on unrelated warrants. No one has been charged. Nettie's story is still unfolding, but already the silence is deafening. If you have any information about Nettie's death, please contact the Selawik Police Department at 907-484-2132. Thank you so much for joining me. I'll be back next week with 12 unsolved cases from Arizona. If you have any cases you'd like me to cover, please let me know. Please like, share, and subscribe as this helps my channel grow. Until next time, stay safe and be happy.